Hello, dear friends. A Tibetan Lama confessed to me years ago that he wanted to be reborn as a Spaniard, but this is not Shangri-La, although it could be if we lived enlightened. Another Lama hung up his habit and married with a Spaniard. There is something about water when it's blessed. Tartessos comes from Tartary. Opinion piece. Hispanic Passion. Land of extremes. The copla signs passions. Tartessos comes from Tartary. Universal Hispanic archetypes. Gypsy passion and Spanish nobility. Universal legends and traditions. Spain's cardinal sin is envy. If you speak ill of Spain, you are a Spaniard. Let's start. I love Hispanic culture for its universal heroic archetypes, not for its Tridentine Catholicism, not for its Inquisition that persecuted heterodoxy with inconceivable harshness. No other culture has as many heroes, adventurers, idealists, martyrs, heretics, heterodox, and rebels against the system as the Spanish. Christians, Jews, and Muslims, and even Gypsies, built a culture so rich, colorful, and varied that it is not found in any other country in Europe. Iberia was the peninsula of the Beres, and Hispania was the country of the Payos, according to Alexander Eleazar. It is said that the capital of the Payos is Cádiz, and that Tartessos comes from Tartary, but this is only a theory. I am convinced that Spain has a supernatural protection that has helped it to survive through its many vicissitudes. Spaniards can be very cruel to themselves, just like when blood is spilled in bullfights. I cry every time I watch a documentary about the Spanish Civil War, because I see not two sides, but Spanish brothers killing each other over abstract political ideologies and a central hatreds. We have all the faults and virtues in the world, and that kills us and exalts us at the same time. In Spain, the three great religions of the book, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, reached their maximum spiritual fulfillment. Christianity with Saint John of the Cross and Saint Teresa of Jesus, Islam with Aben Arabi of Murcia, and Judaism with the Zohar of Toledo. Contradictions. Spain is love and hate, passion and tragedy, pure contradiction, and that is why it loves and hurts at the same time. And that is why we were the mecca of all the romantics of the world. You cannot be lukewarm in Spain, because it has been the land of extremes, where the pendulum of history has swung back and forth, and where moderation has always been frowned upon. We are a Greek tragedy made flesh. Here we laugh and cry, love and hate, but all with intensity, even though we try to be phlegmatic like the English, but it doesn't work because we are made of fire. If you speak badly of Spain, you are Spanish, because we are extremely self-critical. How is it possible that we Spaniards have not self-destructed ourselves until now with as much extremism as we have experienced throughout history? The answer is that we have destroyed ourselves many times, but we have survived from the rubble like the phoenix at the cost of much effort and suffering. To be born here, you have to have a very tormented karma. Gypsy Passion. Gypsy Passion and the Spanish nobility. The term Spanish nobility refers to the noble status of the Spanish people, a virtue that implies honor, loyalty, bravery, and other values associated with the nobility of character. Gypsy Passion refers to the emotional intensity and energy attributed to Gypsy culture, in which music, dance, and artistic expression in general are very important. Gypsy Passion is often associated with strong and passionate emotions, such as love and sadness, and with a free and bohemian lifestyle. Spanish Passion is an expression often used to describe the passionate, vibrant, and emotional character of the Spanish. It refers to the intensity in which Spaniards live and express their emotions and feelings, whether positive or negative. There is nothing subdued about the Spanish copla because it speaks of passions such as love, jealousy, betrayal, or disappointment. This passion manifests itself in many aspects of Spanish life, including music, dance, food, religion, and politics. We Spaniards are known for our love of music and dance, and the way we express our emotions through them. We are also known for our love of good food and for the way we enjoy social and family gatherings. In religion, Holy Week is a time when Spanish passion is especially evident, with processions and dramatic performances, reflecting the intensity of faith and religious devotion. Christ was not crucified by the Jews or the Romans. He is crucified by Christians every day when they exalt his suffering rather than his resurrection. As they used to say to me at the school, see how God is looking at you. See that he is looking at you. See that you don't know what. See that you don't know when. In politics, Spanish passion has manifested itself throughout history in extreme social and political movements, as well as in international politics. In general, Spanish passion is considered an integral part of Spain's cultural identity and is admired and appreciated by many around the world. But I would throw a little water on the fire. The Spanish copla. The Spanish copla is a popular musical genre that originated in Spain in the 1920s and is characterized by its emotive lyrics and catchy melodies. The passions often sung in the Spanish copla are varied and can include themes such as love, sadness, loneliness, nostalgia, loss, poverty, joy, passion, and struggle. Coplas often tell stories of unrequited love, betrayal, heartbreak, and can also include themes such as immigration, exile, Spanish Civil War, life in the villages and cities, desire, passion, and life in general. The Spanish copla is a very sentimental musical genre that seeks to connect with the emotion of the audience and tell stories that resonate with them. En route. From being the largest empire in the world, Spain has become a satellite of the Anglo-American Empire, making English the second language of Spain. The Spanish Empire fell victim to its own contradictions and was replaced by the British Empire, which has a more practical and less idealistic sense of life, but is now in the doldrums because all empires are ephemeral. The current tragedy of the Spanish is that we have become so indebted that we are subject to globalist interests which are not our own and which do not form part of our cultural identity. But our case and our contradictions are similar to those of many other sister countries of the American continent. I go to sleep pessimistic and wake up optimistic every day because I am convinced that everything will have a happy ending. Perhaps I am encouraged by my angles in my sleep. Disunion. When the English-speaking countries are united in the Commonwealth, the Ibero-American countries are the most disunited community of nations in the world, even though we speak the same language, have a common culture, and share the same mestizo genetic heritage. It is the same disunity that exists within Spain. Passion exalts us and kills us. Does anyone else miss the good old days? I'm not talking about the 60s or 70s, but the year 2000. It feels like we are living in a bad dream, a nightmare. I can't believe that in 33 years, they can completely destroy society. We are now in a ruined society thanks to the globalists. Land of extremes. Land of extremes is an expression used to describe a country with great contrast and contradictions that affect the life and culture of its inhabitants. The expression can refer to different aspects of a place, geography, culture, economy, or politics, but generally refers to a land with extreme characteristics in terms of weather, landscape, natural resources, or social contrasts. For example, Patagonia in South America is often considered a land of extremes because of its extremely cold and windy climate, windy weather, and rugged and aggressive landscape, as well as its cultural and economic contrasts. Another example might be Alaska, which is known for its extreme temperature, its expanse to tundra, and its wealth of natural resources. Archetypes. Archetypes are congenital images of regimes with symbolic value that are part of the collective unconscious. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung understood archetypes as universal archaic patterns and images that derive from the collective unconscious and are the psychic counterpart of instinct. Spanish culture is full of universal archetypes that have been popular through its art, music, and literature, not only in Spain, but also all over the world, and that can be applied to many people and societies. Most follow the picaresque archetype of Lazarillo de Tormes and the hedonistic Sancho Panza, but a few of us follow Don Quixote de la Mancha. Others follow the archetype of Don Juan Tenorio, others that of La Celestina, and others that of Saint Teresa of Jesus. My favorite archetype is that of Saint John of the Cross, but I have not managed to reach it. The maximum is the archetype of the risen Christ. The problem is that the crucifixion is venerated more than the resurrection, which represents the ascension. There is also the archetype of the Virgin Mary, who represents motherhood, purity, and compassion. The archetype of the hero represents the figure who fights against evil to save his people or someone in need. This archetype is characterized by courage, the ability to overcome obstacles, and the quest for adventure. It represents those who face challenges and obstacles and overcome them through bravery, determination, and sacrifice. Some Spanish heroes include the Cid Campeador and Pérez Reverte's Captain a la Triste. Definition. A cultural archetype is a recurring pattern or model of thought, emotion, or behavior found in different cultures around the world. These patterns may include myths, symbols, rituals, characters, and themes that recur in the stories, legends, and traditions of a particular culture. Cultural archetypes are universal and manifest themselves in different ways in different cultures. For example, the archetype of the hero, representing the struggle against evil and triumph over adversity, can be found in the legends and myths of many cultures around the world. Cultural archetypes are important because they reflect the values, beliefs, and concepts of a particular culture and can help people to better understand and communicate with people from other cultures. In addition, knowledge of cultural archetypes can help individuals to better understand their own behavior and motivations, and to find a sense of connection and purpose in their own lives. Deadly sins. It is said that all comparisons are odious, but I will try to make kind comparisons. Every country and every person has its virtues, but it suffers from a cardinal sin. Spain's cardinal sin is envy. France is lust. Germany is pride. And England is greed. Again, however, this doesn't apply to the whole population, and it is important not to generalize culturally. I prefer the Spanish sin of gluttony to that of envy because it is tastier, and we Spaniards would rather enjoy good food than torment ourselves over the fortunes of others. As for France, I love its Enlightenment culture, illustration culture, its esoteric alchemical tradition, the classical culture of Germany and England, the nobility of the Germans and the quiet flame of the British. So everything has its pros and cons. In the case of Andalusia, some might argue that laziness is the cardinal sin, due to the stereotype of that Andalusians have a more relaxed culture and enjoy rest and social life, but also work a lot. My cardinal sin is hippie laziness, which is why I work so hard to overcome it with karma yoga, but I long for rest and retreat. We must all do our part, each in our mission, to help bring about the new golden age and the ascension of humankind. Europe. In the case of Portugal, some might argue that laziness would be its cardinal sin, as there is a stereotype that the Portuguese can be seen as laid back and not working as hard as in other cultures. But I love the friendly nature of the Portuguese, and they eat wonderfully. As for Italy, some might think that anger will be its cardinal sin because of the association with the mafia and violence, but I love the Italians' artistic sense and their melodic music. With respect to Western Europe, some might argue that pride or greed might be the common capital sins in Europe because of the colonialist and imperialist history of several European countries, as well as the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few people and companies. But I love classical European culture. Pride or greed might be the common capital sins in Russia because of its imperialist history and the enrichment of a privileged elite, as well as the corruption and concentration of power in the hands of a few people. But I love its writers, its music, and its respect for family and Christian traditions. Americas. Greed or pride might be the common capital sins in the US, due to the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few people, the culture of individual success and extreme competition, as well as its history of interventions and military in other countries. But I love his sense of freedom. Laziness would be Mexico's cardinal sin, as there is stereotype that Mexicans can be seen as laid back and not working as hard as in other cultures. However, this stereotype doesn't apply to the whole population, because Mexico is a pioneer in awakening, and I love the friendly character of Mexicans. I was educated with books from Mexico's Fondo de Cultura Económica. In the case of Argentina, pride would be the cardinal sin, as Argentines are often associated with a high sense of national, cultural, and intellectual pride. But I love Argentinian culture and their existential philosophy of life. They have an ego, but are friendly and hospitable. I was educated with books from the key publishers in Buenos Aires that I bought in the Argentina bookshop in Madrid. In the case of Chile, some might argue that greed is the cardinal sin, as the pursuit of wealth and economic success has been an important part of Chilean culture. But Chile is a pioneer of spiritual awakening in the New Age, as the Kundalini energy of the earth is awakening in the Enki Valley. In the case of Brazil, some might argue that lust is the cardinal sin, as it is associated with cannibal culture, sensuality, and tantalizing physical beauty. But Brazil is a very diverse and complex country and cannot be reduced to a single cardinal sin, as it also has many virtues that I admire, such as its spirituality and its playful and festive sense of existence. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.